Hi, my name is Lauren Thomsen. I am founder of Lauren Thomsen Design, a Philadelphia-based architecture firm. And we do largely residential, um, historic renovations in the city and also high performance and passive homes in and outside the city. When I was 7, my family moved and I started analyzing all of the homes that we were looking at. And then I would go home and draw them. And I would draw them and I would make sure I knew which bedroom was mine. Um, and then I started drawing my own kind of dream homes. But it's really interesting. It's always been really residentially focused for me. And I've always been really fascinated by like the idea of home. I actually had a very kind of windy road to architecture. I didn't study architecture as an undergraduate. I went to a liberal arts college, and even though I knew I was very interested in architecture, even in high school, my dad was saying, "Oh, go." I just wasn't ready to commit to a major, and and I'm glad I didn't actually, because I did comparative literature and art history, and I lived abroad, and I think it allowed me to see architecture from more of a critical lens. I've always been very interested in kind of energy efficient design and high performance housing or building, really. In 2007, I became LEED certified. That was almost the very beginning of LEED. And as soon as I learned about it, I studied for the test, and I wanted to kind of get that certification and have that knowledge and expertise. And then in graduate school, I had a professor who was doing passive house work, and kind of alerted me to the practice. It's very rigorous in terms of the criteria to build. It's very technically rigorous, and I'm fortunate on our team and in the office. We have two of my colleagues who I've known for a very long time. One of them is a passive house certified designer, and consultant. So I was able to take my kind of design expertise and knowledge of highly sustainable practices, and then we were able to meld that with technical expertise, the proper detailing, which requires a really airtight envelope and continuous ventilation, which is a fascinating and increasingly pertinent thing we're dealing with: air quality and energy efficiency. But specifically air quality now, in order to make the building effectively as efficient as possible and running on as little energy as possible. A common misconception is that it's inachievable, or that it's exorbitantly expensive, or that it's really all or nothing. And my advice or encouragement to anyone who's interested in doing something that's higher performing, or making their home more efficient, or kind of, is that it's not all or nothing. You don't have to get certified. It's not. You can adopt principles as much as possible, as much as your budget or the other parameters that are driving your project allow, and your home will be a better, more comfortable, more resilient, and better investment for you for the future. With passive house principles, the first thing we do, we call this kind of tier 1, which is, how are you oriented toward the sun, and how much sunlight is coming in your home, and can you moderate that? A lot of times we can't moderate that. Think of a row home condition where you've got 2 long party walls, and we're just dealing with front and rear envelope that we have control over, so to speak, in terms of the opening and the roof. But I think if you have properly sealed and high-performing windows and doors, if redoing the entire envelope is not an option, that can make an enormous difference in your interior comfort and in the energy efficiency of your home. We love a challenge. I would say we try to complement, not mimic or not copy. And in doing so, it means really studying proportion, the existing conditions, the, considering materiality, kind of the overall, the era and epic, of the original, and maintaining as much as possible of the original design, and then kind of very deliberately inserting, moments of new and really kind of unexpected and unique design elements. In terms of a positive challenge, I think people are inhabiting their homes differently. And that's something that we're really excited. And that's been since COVID, And so I think it's one thing that we're trying to stay abreast of is kind of really taking stock and listening and really thinking about how much more we're demanding of the spaces in our homes, and how technology is playing into that, because it's changing at such a rapid pace. It's challenging to know what to implement or incorporate into design, because we don't know what will be obsolete in 10 years. I'm excited to see that I think people are becoming more aware of, the fact that our homes need to be more resilient. And so it's less of a challenge for us to pitch, so to speak, the kind of innovative strategies or the energy efficient strategies. In most of our projects, we're no longer using natural gas. So we've moved to electric heating and cooling. People are charging electric cars often. And I kind of think that in 50 years, we'll be like, oh my God, they put gas in their house? Like, that's nuts. So it is interesting to see that very slow incremental change. In 20 years of practice, it's like we're just kind of, I think, moving the needle. We have come across a lot of the old newspapers were used as insulation in the walls. And so, we'll open them up and it's like, 1910. And it's really incredible that, but recently we were working on actually a log cabin in further afield in a kind of upstate Pennsylvania. And we're doing a really modern kind of addition to it and renovation of it. And it was really neat. The general contractor, he could tell us the exact decade that the cabin was built, just based on the way that the plaster and lath had been cut. So it is so fun to research and learn about the history of the buildings that we're working in, and we do that. And Philadelphia is really neat because there is a really significant community of historians and architectural historians, and it's well documented, and so there's a lot of knowledge to be had, and I'm usually not very shy about asking questions. I lived in France for 2 years, and I'm fluent in French. And I would probably still be there if I didn't have student loans. No, we go back there a lot. I take my kids, and we still have friends there. But I think that culture has influenced my career and my life a lot.